Hello and welcome, this is AgentXP, and welcome back to another author playthrough. So today we are going to be playing Gateway to Atlantis, and this is my 10th ever released TRLE, and you can download this on TRLE.net. I'll include a link in the description below. This level was created as part of a one-room challenge. Now the concept of the one-room challenge is that you create an entire level within a single room of the level editor, and I have created a one-room level twice before, so my Bolivia level and my Secrets of Babylon levels were also one-room challenge levels. Now this particular one-room challenge had a slight twist on the rules, as did the Babylonian challenge, and you're basically allowed a room for gameplay. You are also allowed a water room, and you are allowed a single scenery room above the main gameplay room, in which Lara cannot perform any gameplay. So in this particular level, I used the scenery room to create air pockets in the ocean. However, she cannot climb out of the water and explore this scenery room at any point. I should also mention a bug in the original release version of this level, which about 20% of players experience, and I believe this is to do with loading and saving. There are two boulders in this level which are meant to be activated by shooting a vase and pulling a switch, and sometimes they activate when Lara approaches them instead of by trigger, and this doesn't stop you from finishing the level, it's just a tiny bit annoying, so I'll point these out when we get to them. So as you can see there was a choice of two outfits in this level, and we have chosen the standard wetsuit outfit. And as you arrive in the ocean, you can turn around and straight away you can shoot that box to get some extra harpoons. There are lots of harpoons in this level, so don't worry about running out. And before we do anything else, I'm going to swim straight ahead, and we are going to deal with this pesky hammerhead shark. So if we turn around and swim away from him, we can shoot him without losing any health. It's not too difficult. So just keep swimming away from the shark, and then when you get a short distance away, roll and fire your harpoon gun, and that way you can usually dispose of him without losing too much health. Although that did seem to take slightly longer on video typically than it normally does, and we lost a tiny bit of health there. I took just a little bit too long to kill the shark, but that's okay, we can deal with that. So after surfacing in the air pocket, there are 3 air pockets in this immediate area that we can use, and there is another hidden air pocket as well. So keep those in mind, and we can swim into this area with the purple coral, and if we come into this alcove, we can find a shotgun pickup. So if we swim out of that alcove, if we swim to the back of this room, we can see this crack, and we can swim through it, and we can now reach the hidden air pocket that I mentioned. This is inside a sort of yellow diving bell, and if we swim down after getting some air, we can see here by this portal there is an underwater switch. We need to pull this underwater switch in order to be able to do something inside, and as you see there, a cover will lift off a button, and we need to find a way to get to that button. So we're going to swim back through the area with the coral. First I'm going to show you another of the air pockets that you can use, so we'll swim straight up, and here we get a small foretaste of what is to come. So if you look up to the ceiling, you can see a Grecian style statue there, and that gives us a small preview of what to expect later in the level. So next we're going to swim back down towards this coral, and we're going to want to make our way back to the area in which we started the level, so swim to the other side of the large yellow structure. And before we try and find a way inside, we're going to want to swim up into this sort of cave or alcove, and here we can see through this netting into the open ocean above. But before we do anything else, we want to swim down, and on this ledge there is an item that we can pick up. and this is something that I think a lot of people miss for a long time, so that's why I got it straight away. So next we can swim up inside the large yellow structure, and looking at Lara's air bar, fear not, as when we pull this underwater switch, we will drain the room and find ourselves in a dry airlock. The next thing what we want to do is hop up onto this small ledge, and then we need to do a curved jump to this small alcove. In this alcove there is a switch which opens up a door inside the base. Now without opening this door we could not explore very much, so we need to do this before we do anything else in this area. So pull back up and we will now find an open door waiting for us, so we can run on inside the underwater base and take a look around. So there are a couple of things that we can do in this immediate area. We can see there a flame, we'll need to turn that off, and the first thing we'll want to do is push this button. Now we're shown a camera view of a block raising in this room, and we can run on inside, and Lara comments that that crate looks like it belongs to an old friend. So pick up the laser sight, and then we'll want to turn our attention to the ceiling, and if we combine the laser sight with the harpoon gun, we can shoot that box. And we'll see there another of the artifacts that we picked up earlier drops to the ground, but unfortunately it's currently guarded by some laser beams, and we'll need to find a way to deactivate those before we can pick up the artifact. So in this alcove we can grab some more harpoons, and if we run around to the side of the room we can pull this wheel switch, and this wheel switch will turn off the fire in the room next door. So if we run on into that room we can now access another switch. So hop up to this lower ledge and we can do a run, jump and grab and access this alcove and throw the switch, and this will deactivate another flame. So we can hop down off this ledge and make our way back to the ledge behind us, and if we turn to the left we can jump and grab this grate. Now this grate serves as a ladder, and we can backflip off that ladder to a ledge behind us and then do a standing jump up and grab this grate on the ceiling which acts as monkey bars. So make your way to this second grate and we can grab this and we can shimmy around the corner to reach the ledge on which the flame was turned off. So drop to this ledge and we can do a running jump to another ledge on this side of the room, and if we look up we will see a jump lever. So jump and grab this, and this will open a door at the end of the corridor which is to our right. Before we investigate that corridor we can run to the other side of the crane and shoot a box, and this will give us a large medkit. So now let's explore the corridor that opened. It has a slanting roof, but if we run down the right hand side Lara can still stand up, and we can see here this is the button that we uncovered using that hidden underwater switch earlier on, and now that we have pushed that button we are able to accomplish more in the base. So if we peer out we can see the ocean outside. I do really love that. So run back out of that hallway and we can now continue through this small area, and we find ourselves back in the room in which we shot the Natla crate when we first arrived in the base. And if we run back out of this door and press the button a second time, we will see that block lowered. Now the fact that we are able to access this room from two sides allows us to complete a puzzle. So if we now run full circle back around the hallway and back into the Natla crate room from the other direction, we will now be able to access this lever, as we are able to keep this block lowered and still access the crate room. So if we now push that button, we can run back into this hallway and we find that the block on the one side has lowered, which allows Lara to move this movable box from this tile, and this will allow her to pick up the object that is underneath the box. So we can also, for convenience sake, push this box onto the tile on which the block lowered. This opens up a short hallway to our left where the sign says danger deep water. Now there is a trapdoor on that tile which is not yet open, and the main goal of this hall base area is to open that trapdoor. So we can now come back to this crane, and if we place the object that we picked up, which was a crane battery, this will activate the crane and it will lower a barrel back in the underwater area. So we'll need to return to the airlock. But first I'm going to press this button once again to allow us to easily access the Natla crate room once again when we return. So if we come back to the airlock, it's probably worth saving, and we can throw this switch to re-flood the airlock, and Lara can now swim back down into the open water. And if we come to the area where we first saw the hammerhead shark, we can now swim up, and we are now able to use this underwater switch because the barrel has been lowered out of the way. After we pull this switch, we need to swim back into the open area and be mindful because this will have triggered another shark to appear. So if we swim around, we need to dispose of this dude as quickly as possible. Otherwise, he's going to try and hamper our efforts to pull an underwater switch. So shoot the shark, and we now need to make our way to an air pocket as Lara's breath is flashing once again. So let's surface and wait for Lara's air bar to refill, and then we'll need to swim back down, and we are now able to access the centre of the underwater structure. I'm just peering in through the window there. You can see the inside of the base very nicely. So swim on in to the yellow structure, and we are now able to pull an underwater lever, and that will turn off the red laser beams. So we're now able to swim down and grab the second plug. Once we have grabbed this item, if we swim up a little, we can see here on the right and the left of the ladder are the receptacles for the 2 plug items. And what we're going to need to do is swim back into the airlock, because we're going to need to drain that area in order to place the 2 plugs. So pull the switch to drain the airlock, and we'll be able to return to the Natla crate room, because you may remember where we shot the box when we first entered that room, the artifact dropped down a pit. So if we return to this room and very carefully investigate this ramp, we can hop down backwards and grab the edge of a very high ladder. And if we carefully grab and drop down this ladder, we can now reach these 2 receptacles. And this room was drained along with the airlock. So we can place the 2 power plugs in their sockets, and this is going to open up the trapdoor in the area that I pointed out earlier, where it said danger deep water, and we're going to find out what lies under that trapdoor here in a second. So now we can grab the ladder and we can climb back on up to that hallway. While we do, a quick note about the sharks: if you do not kill them while you are swimming around the underwater area, they can swim through the air inside the base, and there's not a lot I could do to prevent that, given that this is a 1-room level. Sharks do not listen to enemy collision boxes, so unfortunately that's just a bug, and if you fancy flying sharks, give it a go. So we can now make our way to this hallway and drop down into the area where it ominously says danger deep water, and we will now get a flyby showing a Greek temple. The SLINC Corporation have unearthed this ancient ruin, And as the camera pans down, we will also get a clue as to why all the workers may have suddenly vanished from the base. As we see here, they have also unearthed an ancient menace, which is Medusa, and we'll need to move quite quickly here as Medusa shoots laser beams, so don't stay still for too long, and if you just climb out straight away, you can avoid getting shot. So come here and pick up a second laser sight, just in case you didn't claim one earlier, and if we look up there, we'll see an underwater switch. So now we can run inside the temple, and we'll be shown a camera view, and this is where the first of the two boulder bugs can occur. Sometimes when we're shown that view, the boulder will simply drop on its own, and that is not intended, although it doesn't really affect gameplay a massive amount. So if we come here, we can shoot the Minotaur that woke up, and if you did pick up the shotgun, we can make fairly swift work of him. So if we back away, we do not want to be on the middle tile. Equip the laser sight and harpoon gun, and if we shoot the vase, the boulder will drop, and this is the intended method of triggering the boulder, and we don't want to be stood in the middle there, because if we are, we will get squished very quickly. So run down the slope into the main part of the room, and in this area of water we can see here there are some spike holes. Now what the boulder did was it killed those spikes and allowed us to swim down into this underwater passage. You can see there I picked up a sword, and I also threw an underwater switch, and Lara gives us a hint that this fountain might help her to jump higher. So what we're going to want to do is put our back to this wall, and we're going to want to use the water jet to propel our jump higher, and we can now reach this ledge on this side of the room. Now you can see here there is a swinging axe, but all it will really do is push us out of the way, so we need to time our jump into the alcove, and we can now use the sword that we just picked up, which acts as a crowbar, and we can activate this switch, which will raise a block on the other side of the room. So dodge out of the way of the axe, and we're going to want to do the same thing, put Lara's back to the wall, do a running jump, and we will be propelled upwards, and we can reach that raising block. So we now want to do another running jump and grab, and we can now reach this alcove on the right hand side of the large Poseidon statue. And if we jump to the correct side of the crowbar switch, we can use the sword in this switch, and this will flood this area. And if we swim up and grab some air, we can then complete the final task of this level. So we can get some air here, but we can't climb out and do anything at the moment. So if we swim out of the temple area, we can just take a quick look around. And this is the next area where we sometimes get a bug. Now sometimes when Lara swims out of this door, a boulder will simply activate on its own, and this is not correct, and thankfully we did not get the bug here. So what is meant to happen is we are meant to pull this underwater switch, which then activates said boulder, and we can see that happen here. The boulder drops and it causes the sword to fall on top of Medusa, and this kills her. And we can now swim down and claim an artifact. So we're just going to get some air, and then we can swim down into the depths and claim our final prize of the level. Now if the boulder does activate prematurely, it doesn't prevent you from completing the level, it just renders that underwater switch that we pulled rather useless, and players might be a little bit confused as to why they need to pull that underwater switch if this happens. So it doesn't stop you from finishing the level, it's just a little bit silly and annoying from a builder's point of view. So we can get some more air and swim back into the temple for the final time. We're now going to need to use the artifact that we collected. In order to do this, we need to swim back down into the lower passage, and if we swim to the end, we can press action here, and Lara will do an underwater placement animation, and she will place the puzzle item at the end of this hallway, and this activates a portal, and Lara said it, you guessed it, we're going in. So surface here and pull out of the water, and Lara vanishes through the portal in an explosion. We'll now get some end statistics, and as you can see, we took around 18 minutes to finish this level. So that was Gateway to Atlantis, my 10th TRLE. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing in order to support my channel, and if you do subscribe, please do hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I upload future videos. So this is Agent XP. Thank you for watching. TTFN.